All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our video podcast. So this is kind of an introductory video, and I'm doing this to kind of start things off, trying to determine a good schedule for this podcast. And really, I'm going to focus for the next few months on detailing stories from our fellow detailers. So I have a list of about a dozen different people that have reached out to us, some who have followed us for a long time, who have watched our videos for a long time, some I know personally. So I'm really looking forward to this. Now, some of them are going to be live, like this is, and some of them are going to be pre recorded. And, that just kind of depends on the person. So if you want to be on our podcast, whether live or pre recorded one, then reach out to me. I'm going to have my email in the description, or just go to our website at mirandadetailing.com and you'll find all of our info there. Our email is just mirandadetailing@gmail.com. So you can go there and check it out and be on as a guest and share those stories. I think those are some of the most interesting things about detailing are the stories. We can talk about products, we can talk about procedures and methods all day long. And to be personally, to be completely honest, personally, I find them to kind of be redundant and now kind of boring just to hear about this product and this technique. I mean, there's plenty of videos out there on that stuff. But let's get to the really good stuff, like the stories. I want to hear your origin story, and I want to hear the worst and the best experiences that you've had, whether it's the best and worst cars or the best and worst customers. Stories is where it's at. So I'm going to share a couple of those of our experiences this evening. And there were a few that I actually forgot about, and I had to write them down because, we've been doing this for 15 years, and there's been so many different experiences, so many different customers that we've dealt with, so many different vehicles that we have detailed. Um, Lots of good ones, lots of bad ones. So, yeah, let's just begin with that and see where it takes us. And welcome. I welcome anyone on the chat here, whoever is joining us. Feel free to ask questions as we tell some of these stories. So I'm just going to pop up my notes up here to make sure I don't miss anything. And if I'm looking down, that's because I'm using my phone here as our camera, and I'm looking down at the screen here to answer and to look at some of the comments and questions. So let's start with some of the horror stories. Actually, hold on one second here. Let me make sure I get my mic here. I apologize if the sound was a little weird. I had my mic off to the side. So let's get the mic here set up. And just as a check here, let me know if things are sounding good. If there's any weird noises coming up, or if it's too quiet or too loud, let me know. I can adjust it on the fly here and let you know. Okay, cool. Very good. Thank you for letting us know. Nice. All right. So I'm going to start with some of the horror stories. Um, the first one that really came to mind was this one, which actually we have a video on uh, a number of years ago, probably going back 6 or 7 years ago now. And it was an older Honda CRV, maybe an early 2000s CRV. Um, and this thing was pretty trashed. Lots of dirt and debris, and those older cars where the carpets have just become old and crusty, hard. You can't do anything with it. You can soak it all day and drill brush it, and it doesn't do anything. You're just on the surface. It's like the carpet has become plastic. The fabric, it was like a velour fabric seat. Those were okay. They weren't too bad. A few little cigarette burns and tears and things like that, and some wear marks here and there. But, we did what we could for the vehicle. It was a full detail, so we made sure to detail it in and out, and we filmed it. All the exterior stuff and a bunch of the interior work as well, as much as we could. So this customer had basically, left us with the job. They met us, talked about some of the stuff, and then they had to take off. And then we billed them later and through Square, and they paid through invoice using their card. So
Everything seemed fine. 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later, I get a call. Nothing the day before, I mean, the day after or anything like that. It was 2 weeks later that this same customer calls and pretty upset, saying that we had left dirt on the seat. Now, if you know me, I talk about asking questions and having a conversation with the customer. And here's where I started asking questions, asking what type of dirt are we talking about. And I was assuming she thought it was a stain. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry if there are some stains there. You know, it's an older vehicle. We tried our best to get these stains out." And she said, "No, it's dirt on the seat." Being very vague about it, not being, specific at all. And I said, "Well, it has been 2 weeks." And they said that it hasn't moved. They haven't driven it. It had stayed there for 2 weeks. It was one of their daily drivers. So I basically said it's been 2 weeks. It's long past due. There's no way of knowing, where that came from. And I sent the customer the video that we actually did showing the seat. And I think at that point she kind of knew, but kept going with it and saying, I want a refund. And she contested the invoice. And Square questioned it and sent me an email saying, "Do you want to fight this or do you want to just give in and give the money back?" And I said, "No, I'm going to fight it," because they had signed our agreement form. And again, 2 weeks later. So all the evidence was there. I sent them the video. I sent Square the video. I sent them the form with the signature, and they said they'll, within 90 days, we'll hear back and see what the decision was. Um, so yeah, 90 days comes around, and at that point, the first couple of days you're on pins and needles. You're overthinking it, and you're overly concerned about it, and it just would dig at me and dig at me, and it would just drive me nuts because I hate dealing with those types of people. I hate confrontation like that, especially when it is someone who's trying to basically scam you. So they, I didn't hear from them at all. All I saw was that they contested it. But 90 days later, Square ruled in our favor and said, you had all the evidence here. It was 2 weeks later. They listed everything, and they said that you're keeping the money, so you don't have to worry about that. And that was the last I heard from that customer. Never again. So really, it was they were trying to scam us. They were trying to get money, and not realizing that we took all the precautions to have all the evidence to make sure that we had our bases covered. So it ended well, but it was still something that was just horrible. It's a horrible thing to have to go through when someone is trying to take advantage of you in that way and trying to take your money and just make things so difficult. Um, so that was one of the horror stories. Not one of the worst, I would say. I think there were a few others that were similar to that, where we're working on older vehicles and things start to fall apart and wear away. And of no fault of us, we're just cleaning, and it's not because of chemical, it's not because we're being aggressive. It's just, if you've ever dealt with old vehicles that have a lot of grime buildup, say on the radio buttons or the dials, any of those older vehicles that have the little white labeling on all the dials, and there's dirt built up on those, you can just wipe it with water and you get the dirt off, but it'll also take off the little white labeling, the little white lettering. And we had a customer once that was very upset about that. Even though they couldn't see the label at first, the little white lettering, it was covered with dirt. Once it was clean, they can kind of see a faint outline of it, and they were upset that it was gone. So kind of unreasonable stuff. And that's really what we've dealt with. We've never really dealt with a customer where we did something so bad that they could accuse us legitimately. There was nothing ever like that. It was always something that was unreasonable, something ridiculous that the person just they couldn't comprehend. They just couldn't get it. They just didn't understand, and just anger was their first thing that they had, to go for, and blamed everything on us basically. So yeah, unfortunately, we did have a bad experience with an older Prius, and we were redoing the headlights. And instead of popping the hood, which we should have done, we just taped around the hood part or around the headlights. And when we were removing the tape, a huge chunk of paint came off the hood, like a giant piece. Come to find out, that year and model in that white paint, that white single stage paint, actually had a factory recall for many of those models. And they had primer adhesion problems. So the paint was not adhering to the primer properly. And many of those vehicles, if just caught wrong, if cleaned wrong or something happened or chip, it would come off in sheets or flake off. And it just happened that we were the last ones to touch it, and it happened to us. So it was really unfortunate, but we paid for that one. We admitted it, and we're like, hey, we'll pay for it. It was like 300, $400. And at the time, there was a mobile painter that we had do it. So at least it was able to get done quickly. But yeah, that was another bad experience, but at least we owned up to it. And the customer wasn't happy, but I mean, he got it fixed pretty much, within a couple of days. And we owned up to that. But that was probably the only experience I can think of where we messed up something and paid for it. But all the other ones are just unreasonable people being crazy and giving us a hard time, trying to just get something for nothing, trying to get their money back. So I'm just going to read down some of the comments and just see if there's any questions in here that I have time to answer. I appreciate everyone coming on here and enjoying this live. One of the questions I see here is what is the worst carpet you've ever cleaned? Mitsubishi Mirage carpet is basically trunk liner. Oh yeah, we've had a couple of minivans where the carpet itself wasn't bad quality, but it was so stained and just full of soda and juice and milk and who knows what else. And we extracted it and extracted it and extracted it just multiple times, and it would look fine, but then things would start to draw up and wick up. And we obviously oversaturated it, but even extracting it and extracting as much as we could. We were mobile at the time, so it wasn't like we could wait around to have it dry. So that was one of the worst carpets, not quality wise, but just staining wise, and just nothing we would do would make it look good. Those types of jobs, those carpets need to be ripped out and hosed down or pressure washed down. I've seen guys do that, but that's much more involved. Removing seats and removing carpet, there's a lot of risk there. And we're not going to do that. That's not the type of detailing that we do. And if we do, we'd have to charge so much that the customer would just be like, nah, never mind. That's way too much money to spend on that. But that's the only way it would have come out clean, is if we did it that way. So yeah, we've had pretty bad carpet like that. Usually it's the Mazdas I've found. The Mazda, either little SUVs or the little sedans, older models, late 90s, early 2000s, that their carpet is terrible. So when we would do an interior detail on these Mazdas, it was just tons. The majority of the detail was vacuuming and brushing, just vacuuming and brushing nonstop. Even using a drill brush or the Tornador, it would just make a mess. It would just bring up more and more and more, and it was just never ending vacuuming. I got to the point basically where I got it to good enough where from a few feet away you couldn't see anything. If you got up close, you're going to see everything. Yeah, that Mazda carpet, horrible, horrible. I hate it. Um, So, Ron, you had a client like that came to your place 2 weeks after I detailed. That's terrible. That is terrible. How can you do that? That's like going back to a restaurant and saying, "You know what? That meal was not good." 2 weeks later. That's ridiculous. He complained about leaves under the windshield cowl. He parked under trees. Brake dust. He drove the vehicle, and water spotting. It rained a couple of days ago. So unreasonable, right? Yeah. That's why I say in a do professional car wash services, so when people complain, I tell them to get a detailer. Yeah. He wanted a full refund. Good. You told him no. You had pics of the car when I was done. Awesome. Good. So you had evidence. You know, we can't always do that though. To be 100% realistic about it, you can't always film every car or take pictures all the time. But maybe if you get like a weird vibe from someone, which, all of us kind of have that like weird instinct where you can just kind of tell by the conversation that something doesn't seem right, then I'll take my phone quickly and go around the vehicle with the phone or the GoPro or something and look at defects, pick them out and record them before we even clean the vehicle. That way you have evidence. Or if you do see like a major defect on the vehicle, take video or pictures of it. Video is always better. With our smartphones now, we can quickly get video of something. That way we know it's real and point at it and say like, hey, this is damage here before we even touch the vehicle and show around the vehicle. Sometimes it's good to do that, to be on the safe side, but you can't always do it. Sometimes we're just pressed for time and we do the job and then it bites us later on. That's just going to happen. There's no way to 100% mitigate that. Sometimes people are just going to get around it and they're going to complain no matter what. So it's annoying. So if you, again, guys, if you are enjoying this, we have about 32 people in here. Really appreciate that. We're only about 17 minutes in. But if you are enjoying these, then stick around, subscribe, and click the notification bell. If you're already subscribed, if you can do me a quick favor, can you unsubscribe really quick and then resubscribe, kind of reset it, and click on the notifications if you want all notifications of our videos? We publish on Sundays, Sunday afternoons, and then I'm going to be doing every other Monday at 7 p.m. with these podcasts, and you'll get notifications. So if you click all, you'll get all those notifications. So you don't miss anything. It'll go to your email, or you'll get a notification on your YouTube app that we have a new video up. Just kind of reset that, because YouTube kind of messed that up. And even though we almost have 60,000 subscribers, our views and our watch time and all that stuff has just tanked. It's plummeted. Um, it's not really that much about subscribers. People can subscribe and then they just maybe not getting notifications or they forget. I don't really know why people subscribe. I honestly don't know if they're not going to watch. So when I subscribe to channels, I'm hoping to get the notifications because I want to see what's going on next. But sometimes I have to manually go in there and search for that person that I want to watch their videos, and then I've missed like a bunch of their videos. So yeah, YouTube is really doing a bad job. Sorry, YouTube, you got to do better on that. So here's a question. Can you use Extreme Solutions Helios on single stage paint? Oh, you know what, Kim? I saw you ask that question. I just didn't get a chance to answer all the questions yet on those videos. So yes, those are what I believe are like acrylic based polishes and sealants. And yes, you can use those on single stage. They're really, really good on single stage paint. So kind of treat them like an all-in-one, or treat them like a regular polish. Work it into the paint and it'll gloss it up, and then you're good to go. So good question. Um, so what app does everyone use for scheduling and pictures for customers? So as far as pictures go, I don't keep them like in an app or anything. It's just on my phone. But usually um, I'll keep them on my phone and kind of forget about them for as long as I can. But again, if a customer calls a week or 2 weeks later and you deleted them like the next day, it's kind of a waste of taking those pictures. So I don't really have an app for that. I'll just keep them on my phone for as long as possible. Or you can download them onto like a file on your PC, or a Google Drive, something like that, and just say customers vehicles and have a folder with the date that you did it and the make and the model, and go from there. And at least that way you can kind of build up a little archive of all of the vehicles that you've done. And it's good to have before and after pictures anyway that you can share with your social media. So it's a good way of keeping track of all that stuff, but repurpose it for social media as well. As far as scheduling customers, Square Appointments has been our go-to for over 10 years now. When they first came out with their little dongle that you put in the phone to take credit cards, we got that for free, and we started, accepting credit cards, and then they just kind of built up from there. And we use Square Appointments. Now, you can pay. There's a free version, but then you can pay for extra things on there. I think we're only paying like $50 a month. And even that, I probably don't even need to pay that much because $25 is for like customer email campaigns and like another $25 for text messaging and email reminders and a few other little features on there, online booking. There's a lot of really nice features that Square Appointments offers, and it's very affordable. If you got a big shop or something, then you have, your Able or a bunch of the other bigger ones, but like their um their prices are just a little bit too much. Paying $100 for all those features where Square already does that for like 25 to $50. I'm just going to pick Square. I don't have employees. I don't need all of the features that app um, has. So Square Appointments is just easier, and you can schedule everything. You can invoice from there. It's very powerful. So Square Appointments really powerful for little detailers like us. If you're like a one or two man show, it's perfect. So you've been detailing for 13 years. You take before and after pictures of every vehicle every time. Oh, awesome. That's good. That's very good. Nice. Quick Thor warm up. No, I'm not doing anything for Thor. Chelsea's got that. Chelsea from Attention to Details. She's got that nailed. So yeah, she's doing an awesome job with that. We did do actually Jess and I did a podcast with her a couple of weeks ago. So if you go to the House of Rags YouTube channel, you'll see that behind the details with Chelsea. And she interviewed us as a couple because she wanted to get some really interesting perspectives about how we work as a couple and our experiences and why we, chose to work together like this and how it's been over 15 years. So that's a really good podcast if you want to check that out. Have you found that some people with very expensive cars are the ones who will try to nickel and dime you in pricing? That's a good one. We have had quite a variety of people. The Honda CRV didn't complain about the price at all, but tried to scam us at the end. Where we've had other people with really nice cars, yes, try to nickel and dime us, try to get things cheaper because they're trying to get a deal. I find that really disrespectful. If you have money in a nice car and you're paying for a service, then pay for the service. Don't try to get something for free or discounted. It's kind of it's disrespectful to like the lower working. I consider myself like the lower working class. A tradesman or a service person, um, and to try to take that money away from us and make us work the same amount or harder is inappropriate because percentage wise, we're paying so much in taxes and fees and everything else. We're not millionaires. So we're not making high six figures here. We're in like a different tax bracket where we get these cuts. We don't get that at all. We got to pay taxes and fees for stuff and all sorts of that stuff. So yeah, we spend a lot of money on those things. So if we don't get paid appropriately for the services, it's really disrespectful. So we've had quite a few people who've had money who do try to get things cheaper, and that's really just inappropriate. But it's definitely been a mix, though. We've had people who just have regular daily drivers that have tried to scam us, and people who have really nice cars who have money who've tried to scam us. In the end, it's just horrible people trying to scam us. Whether you're rich or poor, they are of the same mindset. One has money, one doesn't have a lot of money, but they're the same type of person. Do I teach classes? Yes, yeah, we do. In fact, we do one-on-one training with people. If they want to come here and spend the day with us, then we do one-on-one training. So you can just reach out to me on my email at mirandadetailing.com on our website or mirandadetailing@gmail.com, and you can email us and set that schedule up if you want to do that. So I'll keep watching as long as you don't sell your own products. Don't worry about that, guys. I don't have the finances to start my own product company. I don't know any chemists. I'm not going to have anything white labeled. I don't have nothing against that anyway. I just don't have the time, the resources, or the finances to start selling my own products. In fact, I couldn't even care less about that. Um, oh, hey, Dallas Paint Correction. Where in Vermont? I spent time in Glens Fall, New York, and missed driving through the Green Mountains. So I was just a quick little backstory. I was born and raised in right outside of Boston until I was 12, and then moved to Vermont. And it was a little town called Marshfield. It was actually even it wasn't even a town; it was a village called Marshfield, and it was about 20 minutes north of Montpelier, the state capital, so kind of centralized Vermont. Um, and then when we got married, we lived in Whitehall, which was right across the border from Rutland, Vermont, where the big ski mountains are, Killington. So that's where we lived when we got married. Was in and around Rutland and Whitehall, New York. Which that part of New York, that northern part, it's all country. It's all to me. It just felt like it was all Vermont. It was all Vermont to me, even though some of the people up there and our neighbors consider themselves New Yorkers. Not really. You're all Vermonters. Same type of people. So disrespectful is a perfect term. If you can't afford, yeah, $180,000 car, then they can pay for your time at yeah, exactly. In fact, I mean, we have a beautiful 2018 or 19 Mercedes S63 AMG, gorgeous tank of a car. This thing is beautiful, jet black. We just polished it and coated it today with crystal serum light. It looks beautiful. And the customer is an awesome customer that have used us before. In fact, we may be able to get some coffee because he's a local coffee roaster, which is really cool. I would love to get my own blend of coffee. That's if I'm going to sell anything, or have anything on my name on it, which I already do with Phoenix EOD. They kind of, made that Glossom wax as as a product for us, but that's Phoenix EOD's product that they kind of took some of our information and made a wax from. But if I'm going to put my name on any type of product, I want it to be a collaboration with a coffee roaster, with a local coffee roaster. Yeah, that would be awesome. And I'll sell those like bags of coffee and mugs and things like that. That I would totally do because it's non-detailing related. So, where did I live outside of Boston? Somerville. I was in Somerville, um, Massachusetts, which was like 20 minutes um, northwest of Boston. I want to say northwest. Trying to remember exactly where it was. I was a kid, so I never drove there, as an adult. So it's like I'm trying to remember the areas in Somerville where I grew up for a little bit. But I know Vermont a lot more because I was a teenager and driving in Vermont. So Filthy by Miranda, Filthy Dirty Coffee. That would be actually a funny name for our own blend. I'll have to come up with an interesting name for a blend of coffee if we are able to collaborate like that. So, but that's pretty cool. So I remember your thoughts. Devil's in the Detail asks. I remember your thoughts on rinsing without foam and just using water, and like your take on whether it scratches or not. So yeah, I really wanted to do a test. I don't always have the time to do it, but that's a really interesting subject matter to talk about as well, which I'm going to have to do something on that because it's really hard to set up a test to see if rinsing a muddy vehicle is going to scratch it or not. Is it the water pushing the dirt, or was it the act of the dirt being flung onto the vehicle that has already scratched it? And if you just rinse the water away, you're left with still some of the scratches because of the speed of the dirt hitting the panel. It's a really interesting test. I would love to see someone actually do that. I could probably do that, but I got to really think about how to set that test up properly. So we'll see. Cool. All right, now those are just a few of the horror stories, and I'm glad I was able to answer some of your questions there on the chat. Those were just a few of the horror stories that we've had. Now, let's talk about some of the good stuff, some of the best customers, and some of the nicest vehicles that we've worked on. Um, so here's just one little story, and it seems inconsequential. It seems small, but to us at the time and to the customer, it was something that kind of showed that we cared about our work, but we also cared about the customer, and we just went a little extra for them. And some customers don't even know that we go a little extra for them. We're doing the vehicle, and some things I'm like, this is not really included, but I have to do it anyway. And I usually don't even tell the customer. It's just something that I do that's part of the detail. That's maybe just a little extra that I threw in. But here's one experience, and we were only like maybe first or second year. Actually, I think it was our first year in business, and we were actually going to this surgery center. It was a private surgery center in well, not like anyone's going to know, but it was in like the Midlothian area here in Virginia, but a little private surgery center. And the way that we actually found that place was we were detailing a vehicle in a parking lot, and a a surgeon basically, that this customer came up and liked what we were doing and said, "Hey, we'd like you to clean our cars, and here's where I work." And they gave us the address, and we started going there. And basically people would schedule us to wash their cars. At that point, we were just washing. We weren't really even detailing. It was just washing, and then interior vacuuming and cleaning of the interiors. Um, and we had this older little, I don't know if it was a little Hyundai or a little Civic, that we did for one of the nurses. And this was an older person, um, that was close to retirement, but they had this little car that was older, pretty dirty, and they admitted that they don't have time to wash it. They're on a busy schedule. People in healthcare, their schedules are just hectic. Um, and not all of them make good money, unfortunately. Or if they make good money, they're either in debt, or they're paying for family and they don't have a lot of money to spend on themselves. Whatever the case, we kind of felt that about this customer. Detailing this daily driver, and they only wanted an interior only, which was pretty easy actually. That this it cleaned up really easily, and we had time, and the exterior looked so bad. So we decided to just do a quick wash. Literally, it took us maybe 20 minutes. We just washed it, cleaned the wheels, cleaned all the glass, and just did like a spray wax on it. And we called the customer and said, "All right, your vehicle's done. Come and check it out." And then when she got to the vehicle, she noticed that we had washed it, and she said, "Did you wash the outside?" I said, "Yeah, we threw that in, just no extra charge. Just threw it in." She pretty much broke down crying right then and there, and like gave us both hugs. And she was just so overjoyed, just so over the top happy. And I thought to myself, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, we just, it was nice. It was a nice gesture, but to her, it was much, much more. Maybe she was having a bad day and people were treating her badly, and she just needed someone to treat her nicely. She needed a win. And unbeknownst to us, we did that for her. So sometimes when you do something just a little extra like that, you never know what people are going through. If they're having a bad day and you just did something extra for them, I mean, those little gestures could mean so much for someone. So who knows? I don't know her story. We haven't seen that customer in like 14 years. We don't know what happened, but it made that customer's day. So that was just a good feeling. That was really, really good to do, just knowing that we did just a little extra and made that customer so happy. So sometimes it's like the customer's reactions that are really, really good, and it really makes your day. And for detailing, we're cleaning, we're shining, we're making things look nice again, especially something that is someone's, secondary expense. Their first is their home or where they live, and their car is their secondary expense. So these are expensive things that you got to pay for, and you want to keep them looking nice. And when you care for them like that, yeah, you can make someone's day. So that was a pretty awesome experience. That was one that's always stuck with us, which is cool. Um, you know what? So Ron, you said Ivan and Nick just did a video about that using a muddy Ranger. I saw that. I gotta watch it. I gotta watch that and see. Because to be honest, there's probably some truth to that using a pressure washer, depending on how much pressure. Mine's only 1,000 psi, and using the 25-degree tip and the flow that's on it and all that, it's really hard to know the pressure. But I mean, if you hold your hand like that far away from the pressure washer, it's really not that aggressive at all. And could you be scratching it? Maybe. But then again, we're working on like daily drivers. We're not working on luxury vehicles. So it was probably scratched already. So how are you going to know which scratch is the new scratch and which is the old scratches? It's like, that kind of conversation is just kind of an endless rabbit hole that doesn't even need to be talked about because it's just kind of silly. Like, who cares? What difference does it make? Things are going to get scratched no matter what. So, but I do got to watch that video and see what they have to say about that. So, your best client with me since I started detailing in the mid 1980s. Perfect client. Wow. Apologize if he leaves a water bottle in his vehicles. That's awesome. Man, that is long term. That's awesome. And he's become a friend. That's very cool. Nice. Thanks for sharing that. That's a good experience. So I'm just going to scroll down here. Um, answer any questions that I may have missed. So, oh wow, someone is in here from Australia, Melbourne. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Any New Year resolutions? Well, I don't really do New Year resolutions, but I mean, this is something that I'm starting, in this, coming New Year, basically. I mean, it's December 30th, but um, this is something that I'm starting this year. And hopefully, actually meet some, I hope to meet some great people that, I only see names on the screen and hopefully get to see you and talk to you in person. I'm actually very excited about that. So I really hope I can continue to do these types of podcasts and bring in some new people that have never been on YouTube before. Maybe you're afraid of being on YouTube and being on video and sharing your story, but come on, got to share your story. And I want to do it in a video way. That way people can see your expressions and see you in person. I think it's just has a larger impact when it's done like that. So sometimes it's the littlest of things that make the largest difference in someone's life. You never know what a person is going through. Exactly. Very cool. Carlos, your lives are the bomb. Oh yeah. Serranos, his lives are amazing. I love Carlos's I like his vibe. I like his personality. I like the way that he does videos. They're very genuine. They're very real. Yeah, Carlos, awesome. I'm hoping to have you on here as well. Yes, Carlos. We are going to have detailing grandma on here to tell her story. She was one of the first ones that reached out. We will have her on here. Kristen is her name. So, yes. And also Kristen from detailing grandma, she's another one who kind of is kind of fed up with a lot of the social media garbage. A lot of detailers just kind of regurgitating stuff, saying things that really they have no evidence behind. They're just repeating things. Um, you know, I guess all of us kind of start that way. I know I have earlier videos that I probably said things that I just copied from other people, but then over time I've experienced them for myself, and then I have more credibility because I can speak from experience and kind of debunk or demystify some of those myths and things that detailers have said for years and found out that they're not true at all, or it's just repeating things that they've heard, or they are pushing their opinions or likes or dislikes and pushing them as like a fact or like a rule, like you must do this because it's their own dislike or their own like. So that I find very misleading and not informative at all, because you are telling people something based off of your opinion on based on something that you like or dislike, not really based on fact or evidence at all. So yeah, I find that to be useless information. Is tipping a thing in detailing? Yeah. Yeah, we have plenty of people that tip us. I don't ask for it, even on the app. The invoices will have a tip feature on it, and some people will tip. Some of our really, really good customers who are regular customers, like our maintenance customers, yeah, they'll throw in tips on in there every once in a while. And then when we were mobile, people would ask that too, like, "Is it okay to tip you?" And I'm like, "It's totally up to you. If you were happy, that's I'm happy, and that's good enough for me. But that's totally your discretion. I just leave it up to them." But yeah, people will tip us, which is nice. So you're trying to do the opposite, going from automotive detailing and repair, trying to create a channel, struggling with going about it, but feel it's something I want to do. That's cool. So Conway, YouTube is really weird right now. Um, I kind of want to start this thing, like make YouTube great again, because it's really just become oversaturated and just full of stuff that you kind of have to filter through and like really like dig through to get to real good stuff. Like all of it is just flashy, and it's thumbnails that catch your attention and crazy titles that are like contrary titles. Like never do this to your car when it's something that you should do. I hate those. I hate those misleading types of thumbnails. But that's what YouTube pushes and encourages is like controversy. So YouTube is a weird space right now. I mean, start your channel, do it anyway, but just understand that YouTube used to be great and it's just not anymore. It still has its place, but we struggle with it. When we first started, it was awesome. And our channel grew and grew and grew and then hit this plateau when they changed things and started making bad decisions. And then I saw my channel just decline because they weren't pushing genuine channels anymore. They were pushing commercialized and entertainment type channels. Because unfortunately, that's just what a lot of people are clicking on are those controversial things. So I'm just not going to give into it. I'm not going to do silly thumbnails that bait and switch you in or silly titles. The titles and thumbnails are going to be the subject matter that I'm talking about. So sometimes YouTube just buries that stuff and puts all the garbage and commercial stuff up first. So dig through that. Dig through all of the common stuff that's up there and keep digging for like real channels, genuine channels, like regular people who have detailing businesses or detailing enthusiasts sharing real information. Because otherwise, you could be misled by these commercialized channels. So, yeah, and a lot of it again is just kind of boring, boring stuff that just is just the repeated over and over and over again. Um, so do we and the wife ever disagree on what product or method to use on a car? Oh, that's interesting. So she definitely has. Jess definitely has her likes and dislikes for chemicals. Really, what it comes down to for her, because she has chemical sensitivities, not extreme by any means, but there are some products that are just overly scented that she's not going to use. So certain interior products, if I'm spraying a certain interior product and it's too scented, she's like, I can't even be in here now. Like, you got to stop using that. So I got to use stuff that's like neutral scented. Um, her favorite products, actually, her favorite shampoo and her interior cleaner that she loves the most is from BioWorks. So BioWorks makes an interior cleaner and a shampoo that are incredible. And they're like the first and only USDA approved. Now, people hear that and they're like, oh, it must be 100% net. No, no detailing chemical is going to be 100% natural. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be effective and it wouldn't really work that well. So there's going to be chemicals in there or compounds that are within acceptable parameters to be called organic and natural and all of that. So it's unscented. They're strong products. The shampoo is incredible. It's BioWorks with an X. So I'm the worst speller in the world. BioWorX, I believe. BioWorks. If you search our channel, you'll see some of the videos that we used it, and just go in the description, and you'll find it in there. So, but yeah, there are some products that she just doesn't like because of her chemical sensitivities. But I mean, she'll use pretty much anything, as long as it's not overly scented. So yeah, you definitely don't want flash. You want real info, real things that help and educate people. Exactly. Yeah. I have a theory, just a theory, but because so many people are choosing to watch that type of entertainment that are just commercialized entertainment and just fluff and just, you know, pomp and circumstance and glitter and all this stuff and just ridiculous stuff. And even detailing videos have become like that. Maybe not, I should say, that are dramatized, but just, ASMR channels. They're just there for the entertainment, but they get the most views because they're comforting, relaxing, satisfying to watch. But is a real detailer really going to watch those for like any type of education? It's really hard to get anything because there's no explanations. It's just you're just watching someone detail beautiful cars, and that's all they're doing. Beautiful cars or really nasty cars that are like staged disaster details. So there's it's like goes from one end to the spectrum to the other. So those can really be misleading and people watch them and then they'll come to our channel and say, "Why don't you do this or that?" And I'm like, "Why should I? Like I know what's real and I know what's not." So I'm going to choose to do what's real and not what I see on these entertainment type channels. But I think a lot of people have already come to realize that, like they figured it out. And the ones who are just on there for entertainment will stay on there. But real detailers, if they're on there for any amount of time, they're going to kind of see through it, get bored with it, and be like, all right, I need information. Like I need something that's real, someone who will actually talk to me, who owns a business, and not just someone who has a YouTube channel who's really good at YouTube. But, you know, they're just cleaning cars, fancy cars. So it's not really like a detailing business. And that's where a lot of confusion comes in as well. So to find like the little guys like us, you really do have to dig and search for genuine detailing videos that are going to teach and educate. And usually they're longer videos. Sometimes they're long-winded because how can you teach without maybe lengthy explanations and demonstrations and showing something, and you have to sit there and watch it and listen for some time to be able to absorb that information, maybe even watch it multiple times or certain sections multiple times in the video to understand something. And I've always used the analogy of, going to a university and being upset at the professor because he's not making things quick enough or explaining things quick enough or not being flashy enough. If you're going to be learning something important, it's going to take time and effort. So YouTube used to be like that, and they've gone away from that. Now they're just like quick bits of information that don't really matter that much. that's the way they that's the way they operate, unfortunately. And yeah, and again, my theory, getting back to that, is so many people are frustrated with the world that they do want entertainment. YouTube has become the source of entertainment, and they're YouTube is catering to that right now because people want entertainment. They want to kind of escape and just watch fluff, and that is what's trending right now. That's what's at the top of the charts on YouTube. Everything else is going to be filtered through to the bottom. So that's why you got to dig for real information. And again, it's going to take some time to do that. So yeah, someone said I'm becoming really tired of the hype words like wild, insane, and crazy. I want to know what this translates to. So Joey, I saw your podcast with um, Jimbo, which we just did a podcast with Jimbo too. He'll probably be doing it, publishing it next week. And that was a really good point, Joey, that you brought up, was that when someone's like, "Oh, it's amazing, it's incredible," I'm like, "What do you mean?" Because that's just so subjective. When I usually say something is incredible or amazing, I'm going to try to film it and show it like a ceramic coating beating like crazy and like beating the soap off. To me, that's amazing to watch. That's awesome. But there's only so many words you can use, descriptive words that you can use for that, and everybody's got their own like words that they say. I use awesome a lot. That's just one of my buzzwords that I say all the time. But it's because when I see something that I think is awesome and I want to show it, ceramic coatings beating water and cleaning easily, that's pretty awesome. Or polishing paint and seeing the dramatic transformation. I want to show that on film and show people what it looks like before and then after, polishing. That to me is awesome. But yeah, all these like crazy hype words that people just they use way, way, way too much. Game changer has also been a hot phrase. Yeah, game changer. I don't know. There's no real game changers anymore in detailing. A lot of it has been done. The few things that have been game changers for me have been out for quite a while. Like primer polishes, like the Dr. Beasley's NSP primer polishes. That truly was a game changer for me because it cut out steps that I don't need to do anymore and has made polishing delicate paint much easier. So to me, that was a game changer. But there hasn't really been anything else that lately that has been able to speed processes up or make things better. Maybe a few ceramic coatings out there that are like all around ceramic coatings that can go on paint, glass, plastic, wheels, trim, like everything. There's a few of those, but again, not really that big of a game changer for me. So the saddest thing is educational channels that switch to being just entertainment. Exactly. That's true. That's because they saw the decline, and I refuse to do it. If my channel goes down, then it goes down. Whatever. I'm still going to be putting out videos because you good people are watching them. And it's a way of educating people. Maybe it'll make its way back. Maybe YouTube will make itself great again and shift. Or this is just my opinion and my decision that I would make. But the board members on YouTube board probably wouldn't like this, but split YouTube and do an entertainment section and do an educational section. That way, your educational videos don't get buried under the entertainment videos. Because right now, you can't filter them out properly. You're always going to get the ridiculous, flashy, commercialized channels up first because they make the most money, they get the most views. YouTube is going to push them because it's a business and they make money. But the educational videos, they get buried. So I don't know. That probably wouldn't be a smart financial move, or at least to them, not a smart financial move, but it would make more sense to split that. So you can, they have YouTube Kids. So make YouTube Biz and I would quickly just switch over to that in a second. That way, this is a business channel. This is for you. This is for detailing businesses, especially. But who knows? That's just what I think. But what I think about business does not mean much. So you've had a business for almost 7 years and it's been slower. Do you have any advice on advertising or promoting? Hey, to be honest, ours has slowed down dramatically this year. Everybody's feeling it. So to put a number on it, it has declined at least 25%. Financially, it has probably over 25%. Um, this year we had, is the lowest year that I've seen in like 4 years, post COVID. But things have really, really slowed down for us as well. But the only thing we can do is we'll do email campaigning. We have like a list of 900 customers that we've built over the years, and we email them. And having a good website and posting stuff on social media as much as you can. Google your business, Google my business profile, your Instagram, your Facebook, your YouTube. Those are free things that you just got to work on putting yourself out there. That's the hardest part, is doing that. And if you're not getting any business, you think that you're not doing it right. Nah, it's just the way it is. Excuse me. It's just the way it is. It's going to take time. So yeah, even our business has slowed down dramatically this year. So your New Year's resolution is to not buy any more products until you've used the ones you've had. Thank you. That's a good one. That's a really good decision. In fact, I have to get rid of a lot of products as well. I'm boxing up a lot of them and um, sending them to friends or having friends come over and say, "Hey, pick up all these different products if you want." So has anyone used the Shine Supply Shift Car shampoo? Apparently, it's 100% green and states zero environmental harmful ingredients. Oh, that's cool. I do have Shift. I haven't used it in a while. I should probably use it this week. I think I have a maintenance job coming in soon. Um, but I do like it. It seems like a great soap. It's hard for me to tell the differences between soaps because I don't use them necessarily for like cleaning ability. Um, Supposedly, I think that one is one that they use for their maintenance. So I'll use it on a maintenance vehicle that has a ceramic coating on it. And because I've been using Jimbo's Super Soaper, which I actually really do like. It's good for maintenance on ceramic coated cars. For initial details, it doesn't really cut through the stuff that I need it to cut through. So I'll use my Super Clean or an APC as my pre-wash. But for ceramic coated vehicles, maintaining them, Super Soaper works nice. And I'm going to try Shift Out. I used it before and it seemed to work well also. Typhoon from Phoenix 1 to 7 is also good for a um a pre-wash. Let me see. I'm just reading down some of the comments here, so bear with me if I am looking off to the distance here because I'm reading through some of these comments. I can't answer or read all of them, but I'm just trying to pick out any questions or anything interesting that I could share on here and see. So, juice free. You're making your own rinseless, and I'm going to call it soap version 2. Oh, interesting. You'll propagate a war between soap versus rinseless. Oh gosh, that's still an ongoing thing. Soap versus rinseless. What no one understands is like you can't compare the two. It's they're used for two different things basically. But no, I get your point though. I know. It's interesting to see because people want to know which is better. I'm like, what do you mean which is better? It's like comparing bar soap to body wash. It's whatever. It's the two different ways of cleaning your vehicle. I really don't couldn't care less either way. It's just different things. I use rinseless wash on classic vehicles that I'm not going to wash traditionally because of like seals and stuff. In fact, we did one that I haven't edited yet on an old Pontiac Ventura. And I couldn't wash that traditionally because the seals were too, big gaps in the seals. And I didn't want to wash it like that. And he said it was never in the rain. So I'm not going to wash it like that. So I did a rinseless wash on it. Worked great. So cool. Yeah, I think I'm all caught up on that. Sorry if I missed any of those. Sometimes it's hard to see all the small print in the chat here, but you guys have brought up some really good points, really nice experiences, and some really good questions as well. So let me just share one more story, and then we're going to call it quits here. I'm keeping these to about an hour. Um, Another good story here. Oh, here's another really good one. Was a customer which we actually haven't seen in a while, but it's because we're not mobile anymore, and perhaps that could have been a deal breaker for them. But we've done these vehicles at least twice, and we went to a private family ranch, and it was about an hour and a half away from here. And I believe the workers of the ranch had done some sort of a gift card for the owners to get their cars detailed. Whatever the story was, I'm probably messing that one up, but I just remember it was like a gift card, and then the second time we went, they just paid for them outright because they loved having their cars cleaned. But basically, we arrive at this private family ranch, greeted by basically a cowboy on a horse. He looked like Woody in real life. It was really cool. So he led us to where we were supposed to detail the cars, and come to find out, this is a private ranch. I thought it was like for entertainment. You can rent out a place here and do weddings and stuff. Nope, it was all one family, like it was their private family ranch. And we go there and see this gigantic, like 8 bay garage. Go inside, and there's classic vets, and at the time, like 2 brand new Corvettes that were, like, special edition models, one with I actually have videos on this as well, years ago. Um, One was, like, a black with red interior, the other was a red with black interior, gorgeous, like, Stingray models. I think they were, like, 2016, 17 at the time. They were brand new at the time, and then the rest of them were classic 50s and 60s vets that have been partially restored. Not perfectly restored. The bodies and everything were pretty much mint, and there were things that you could tell that were still original. And there were like 2 red ones, a blue one, and then some other classic Chevy vehicles in there, and then like a classic Ford Thunderbird that didn't even run. It was just used as a showpiece in one of their like entertainment barns where they held parties, and they used it as like a prop. And we went there and we're like, these are the cars we're detailing. And they're like, yeah, they're not dirty at all. Like, I didn't have to vacuum. I think I only vacuumed the 2 brand new ones because those ones there are driven more. But the rest of them stay in this climate controlled garage. And they're just Chevy lovers. They even have pictures of like I think the Chevy family. Like they might know them personally. I don't know. But we got to do those cars, and they were the easiest things to do. The first two, Corvettes, the newer ones, we washed traditionally and did all that to them, full details. All the other ones, we could have started them and pulled them out to wash them. Maybe one or two of them we did that, but then we decided, why are we doing it this way? It's taking up way too much time. So instead of a rinseless, we just got a waterless wash. That way, it's just spray and wipe because there's no dust on these basically, or like the tiniest amount of dust. And we did that to all the cars and just wiped down the interiors, conditioned everything, dressed the tires, cleaned the glass, just made sure everything was spotless. Each car took us maybe 30 minutes to do. And we blasted through them all. I think there was like 8 cars in all. And we were done by like 2. And then we went to lunch. Like, Jess, she ate because she can't go that long without eating. So she brought her own food and then we like went out to lunch after. Um, but we got all those done and we charged full price for them. And I think I maybe even charged maybe a little extra because we're so far away. And that wasn't a problem. They just paid us in one gigantic chunk of money. And it was like the easiest thing to do. Um, so we did that twice, but we haven't been back since because again, we're not mobile anymore. So that could have been something that they needed someone to be mobile. But if they were to call again, I would just load the stuff in our vehicle and do it in a heartbeat because it was really cool detailing those vehicles. So not only were the vehicles cool, but they were also just super easy to do. And it was a pleasure. And we made awesome money doing that, which is awesome. So we call those working ranches. Yeah. I mean, it was like going to like a fair, I mean, they had horses everywhere and um not like they didn't have like rides or something, but they had stuff for the horses set up that kids could ride the horses like around in this little thing in the pen. And their what they called the barn was just this gigantic place that had a stage. They played live music and had a little bar in the side, and it was beautiful, beautiful place. But those are some of the best customers because we've never met them, and we once the guy showed us the vehicles and what to do, then he was like, "See ya," and he rode off into the sunset, and we were there all alone. Like every once in a while, literally 2 dogs would come running down the road, greet us, and continue running on their way, and we're like, "Where are we?" It was awesome. It was such a nice experience. But yeah, we love that. Hey, bro, for a first time ceramic coating, what do you recommend? I would recommend G Technic XOV5. Easy, super easy coating, and it's a 2-year coating. Love it. Um, it doesn't go on bare plastic trim, but you can put it on wheels. I mean, it can go on bare plastic trim. It's just not a restore of plastic trim. So if your plastic trim is in good shape, you can just IPA that and go right over it with EXO, and it will protect it and bead water and everything. But it's not a trim restore. So if you have faded trim, use something else dedicated for trim. But G Technic, excuse me, XOV5, it's affordable. Get like a 50 ml bottle, and you can get like 2 cars out of it. It's awesome. And you don't have to use a ton of it. So you don't have to pour it onto the applicator pad. Just like one line or maybe 2 lines to prime it, and then do your first section, and then like one little line all across the pad. And you can do 3x3 sections with it, fly around the car with it. Super, super easy. Flash time is within like 30 seconds or so. It'll flash away and you'll see it, kind of like do its string beads and then wipe it, 2 towels. Easy peasy. It's an awesome coating. It's very slick and extremely hydrophobic. And we use Dr. Beasley's NSP polishes for that as well. It works really good. So, all right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm just going to go down the list here and just see if there was anything that I missed. Um, Dr. Beasley. Oh yeah. So Jay, if you are curious about Dr. Beasley's, search our channel for ceramic coatings or Dr. Beasley's NSP. The letters NSP. It stands for Nano Surface Primer. Those are what we use for all of our ceramic coatings. They polish and prime, and there's 3 grades of it: a fine, medium, and heavy. And we use the NSP 45. That's their fine, and it works awesome with say an orange pad or a medium. orange pad or a yellow Rupes pad, and works really, really well. So we got lots of information on that one. I think I had one that was a pretty comprehensive extended video on using the NSP polishes where I explained as much as I could in that video and demonstrated and showed a lot in that video. But I think it was like a step by step or full detailing process using NSP polishes. So, any advice or recommendations for a detailing cart? Oh, I love carts. So, I mean, there's a lot in the market. Max Shine has really good carts. Car Supplies Warehouse carries like really heavy duty carts. And some of them have like the bottle holders on them as well. So there's a lot of different options out there, and they don't have to be too expensive. You can usually get one for around $100, maybe even cheaper. But I wouldn't get a cart from like Timu or anything of those yet. I see some on there that look pretty good, but I don't know. Sometimes they're a little bit too flimsy. I would stick with Amazon for now and look for a detailing cart and look for ones that have like accessories that you can put onto the cart that we can hold bottles and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, I do love detailing carts. Very cool. Well, again, guys, thank you for joining us. I think I'm going to call it there. But once again, if you guys want to be on here, then just email me and we'll set up a day and a time. The next one I think I'll do, and I'll let you guys know, go onto our Instagram and our YouTube channel. But even on Instagram, it's easier to post information on Instagram as well. So you can find that on the YouTube channel in the description of any of the videos. If you scroll down, you'll see the Instagram link there. It's Miranda two underscores, I believe, detailing. I had to change it up, and I hate doing underscores, but I had to do that to be able to just have the Miranda detailing without any numbers or anything. But if you search Miranda Detailing on Instagram, you will see, our page on there. And I'll do some lives on there and share information or post information on when we're going to have the next podcast, who the guest is going to be, any other information like that. So go on there. That way you can keep up to date and not miss anything as well. But I would love to have you guys on here. So I will be setting those up and you'll be hearing some stories from real people, real detailers, whether business or enthusiast or whatever, and hear some of their origin stories and their good and worst stories as well. So I really look forward to hearing those stories from you guys. So once again, guys, thank you. I'm going to end the podcast there. I hope everyone has a good night, and we'll see you next time.